All right. Did you know that traveling can be one of the most expensive hobbies? It's very expensive just to be traveling for work, for pleasure, or just needing to get from place to place. But wanting to go on vacations and such, it can be quite expensive. For me, my first experience as a nomad was when I was 18. I decided to head out west and explore the world. And being a naive 18-year-old, I found out that it's important to have a budget and a plan. But needless to say, I learned many life lessons back through these challenges. All right, back then when I was 18, everything felt new. It was exciting, and let's be honest, it was quite chaotic. Being just coming out of the teenage years and trying to become an adult, there's a lot of learning experiences. So there was quite a bit of learning for me. And, now that I'm older and a little bit wiser, maybe still a little bit immature at times, a lot has changed. But today what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my strategies for budgeting as a digital nomad. Plus, I'll give you my personal 2025 budget for living in Portugal. If you've ever wondered how much it actually costs to live this lifestyle, how much it costs to live in Portugal as an American living abroad, and how this can work for you, then stick around and let's go ahead and dive right in. All right, so let's talk about what makes budgeting work for digital nomads. Whether you're just starting or you've been doing this for years, these strategies will help you keep your finances on track. So the first thing is that you're going to need to track your spending like a pro. We are professionals if we're working as digital nomads and doing things abroad. So there's certain things that you have to do in order to make this possible. So we need to use budgeting apps like YNAB or Google Sheets, because a $3 coffee every day adds up to around $90 a month. Secondly, we need to separate our needs from our wants. What we want doesn't always match up with what we need. So the things that we need is going to be rent, food, work expenses, or those wants are going to be the last minute weekend trips or late night Uber Eats. And once you see the difference between the two, saving money will get way easier. And the third thing here is always have an emergency fund. So you have money that you might need for a visa, laptop repair, last minute flights home, because there's some type of an emergency. Keeping 3 to 6 months of savings in a safety net is not a luxury. It's definitely something that you must have. All right, so now let's get into the numbers. Here's my actual budget for 2025 while living in Portugal. Keep in mind, this is based on my lifestyle, so your budget may look different. For me, I'm just gonna pop down housing because this is something that, we're gonna have to have a place over our head. So one of the things that I would suggest if you're a single person is to budget around 900 euros for like a T1 in Portugal, and it's gonna vary from place to place. For me, I was able to take money from selling the house in the United States and invest that money over here in a property. And if you haven't already seen it, I did a video about that previously. So it's not necessarily part of my budget per se, but since we purchased a house, a T2 with one bathroom, this allows me to spend money in a different area. However, part of the expenses that I do have are a condo fee, and that equates to around 60 euros a month. It might go up a little bit this year. I think that last year I was 56 a month. And for me, what my each month is going to look like, and for like a similar sized 2-bedroom apartment, that is what I have here, you could expect to spend anywhere between 900 and 1,500 euros a month, and that's depending upon the neighborhood that you live in or the part of Portugal that you decide to live. And if you're wanting to get specific prices on apartments, one useful tool that you can use is idealista.pt and search different properties. So if you're wanting to be in Porto, you can get a good idea of how much you're going to spend on apartments there. If you want to be in Lisbon, you'll have apartments there, Coimbra, and it's all throughout. So if you're wanting to live more of a rural life, you can kind of get an idea too. But yeah, so the next big spending item that is a need is going to be utilities. So this is going to be electric bills, the internet bills, stuff of that nature. So the high end of my electric and gas bill each month over the past year has been 145 euros. And this typically occurs in the winter months. Sometimes it'll end up happening during the hottest days of the year also, and that's just because I'm using a small cooling unit. So who knows what it'll be this year, but hopefully this is kind of reasonable. Some months throughout the year, the bills are closer to 70 euros. That's gas and electric. And during the winter months, the gas kind of goes up more because it takes a little bit more energy on the gas side to heat up the water. So it's an on-demand water heater, but the water goes through like concrete, so it takes a while for that to go through. And then I'm also including on this 140 euros or 145 euros a month, the internet, the cell phones. I have Vodafone, and that includes, to have internet and cell phone coverage and all that. And it's an unlimited package. I have home internet, and it also has a TV package, and it cost me 75 euros a month. Yeah, so as a digital nomad, having an internet package on the phone really helps out quite a bit. So it can kind of cut into some of the expenses of working in a co-working space. So you could go into a co-working space and spend money with the co-working space, or I could go to a coffee shop and just use my internet if there's not internet at the cafe, or the internet's at the cafe is not working as fast. But yeah, so that's the second thing with utilities. And we'll go into groceries, because that's another need, because we all are going to have to eat food, of course. So when I go to the Mercado, I usually go to the Mercado every Monday, and I end up spending approximately 25 euros each week on fresh food or fresh produce, fruits, cheeses, and it kind of varies a little bit. I might get a little bit more one week than the other, or I might spend a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on what's there. And I might pick up bones and such for soups. So that's typically what I'll do at the Mercados, and that's about 25 euros a month or a week. Then I spend approximately 100 euros. This is for 2 people, mind you, going to the grocery store. So that means going to places like Continent, Auchan, Wharton. Wharton, I'm counting it in here, is not necessarily food items, but maybe I need a kitchen supply. It might be a filter for the coffee maker. Things of that nature. I spend approximately 250 euros a month at these supermarkets to help out with modern convenience. I'm also including it's been colder So like I've gotten a heating pad, so it includes like heating pad, certain things to kind of, maybe it's not so much a need, but it's something that I want, so it provides me a little bit more comfort. Going into more of those wants type things, so looking at dining out, I like to eat food and I like to go out, and I'm not going to be inside my apartment 24/7. That's not why I decided to live as a digital nomad. So a typical dinner out with drinks can cost anywhere between 70 to 80 euros for two people. And that's on the high end for me. You can easily spend much more if you want to live in excess. I pretty much live pretty simply, spend much less on meals. I don't drink alcohol, and I only have one drink, so like a Coke. So going out, I can spend $10, 10 euros, and though more times than not, when I'm going out to eat for dinner for two, it's right around 40 euros. But if I'm wanting to get, as I was saying, if I want to get a pizza and a drink, we can go over to Mr. Pizza, and it's 15 to 20 euros. If there's if I go to Universidad de Tosta, between the two of us, it's usually about 15 euros for two people. It's not, it's super glamorous, but it's simple. And, living here in Portugal, I really am embracing the simple things and not really living out in excess. But a full month budgeting around 320 euros a month. And then the next thing that we have here to talk about is transportation. And I could take the trains, I can take the buses, I can take Uber. These expenses would also include gas, car insurance. So I'm looking at spending about around 100 euros a month. And then living as a digital nomad, I've done these travel vlogs, I've gone through different parts of Portugal. So I want to continue to do these things and hopefully be able to go to some other places outside of Portugal. So much of this for travel and experiences is kind of where I have that budget. I have it at right around 200 euros. And, my adventures are multifaceted. I might be meeting up with new clients, other digital nomads, or just wanting to explore a new location. These experiences also help me generate money, and it's a portion of why I decided to live this lifestyle. It's really fun to meet new people and explore the world. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier about co-working spaces, and the reason that I do this is because people working in a co-working space is as important as a digital nomad. It provides some necessary distance away. Also, sometimes when I am in a new location, I just need a new private space to do some work, and it's necessary to stay focused and network with some other like-minded people. The next thing is private health insurance. Yes, I can go to the public sector and go get vaccines, get a visit with a doctor if I'm sick, and that's all covered. But for me, I find it important to have private insurance. For two people, it's costing 3,500 a year is what I'm budgeting. And some of these numbers could be a little bit on the higher end, and I think that for budgeting, it's good to have a little bit of leeway. So if I have a little bit more money at the end of the year, then that's something that I can use for traveling around. Yeah, so for a couple, we're paying approximately 3,500 euros a year. If you're wanting to save each year, this is what you would need to pay at the end of the year. But for us, we pay monthly. So I'm budgeting 290 euros a month. And then last on my list here is kind of just miscellaneous things. So this is like on a shopping trip that I'm not expecting, subscriptions and such. So they're looking at things that I might not necessarily expected, and I'm just having like 100 euros. Right now, most of our current needs are being met, but as I said, it's kind of good just to have a budget of an extra 100 euros around, just in case there's something that's necessary. And it's good. It's just a good idea to have in case of an emergency, or if you just want to splurge a little bit. So basically what we have here is I have a total budget of 1,745 euros, or if I wanted to add in rent in here, you're probably looking at 2,645 euros a month. So you could live much simpler than we do, or you could live much more extravagant. So I think that that's kind of a good median range of how much it would cost like a average person wanting to live in Portugal, or for two people. So they get, if you're looking at like one person, it's just a little bit over 800 euros a month, or 1,300 euros a month. Okay, so we talked about budgeting and why it's crucial for the digital nomad lifestyle, but let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Budgeting isn't just about knowing your numbers, it's about managing them. It's about having a clear picture of where your money is going so you can make informed decisions. So the question is, what tools do I actually use to keep everything organized and under control? Because let's be honest, juggling multiple currencies, travel expenses, and everyday costs can get complicated very fast. All right, so you've kept up with me up until this point. So you obviously want to keep control of your finances, right? Fantastic. The first step, and it's a crucial one, is tracking your spending. You need to know where your money is actually going before you start making changes. Now, you might think you have a pretty good idea, but trust me, those little expenses can really add up. Think about it. That €3 coffee you grab every day doesn't seem like much, right? But multiply that by 30 days and suddenly you're looking at 90 euros a month. That's a significant chunk of change. And it's not just coffee. It's the occasional snack, the impulse purchase, the small subscriptions you forget about. These little things make a big difference. So how do you track it all? Well, there are some amazing budget apps out there, like You Need a Budget or YNAB. It's super powerful. Or if you prefer something a little bit simpler, there's the good old Google Sheets that works wonders. The key is to just find a system that works for you, and really just stick with it. Then once you've been tracking your spending, the next step is to distinguish between your needs and your wants. This is where things get real. Needs are essential expenses, things you absolutely have to pay for. Think rent, groceries, transportation to work, necessary software, subscriptions for your freelancing gigs, the basics that keep you afloat. Wants, on the other hand, are the things you would like to have, but you could seriously live without. That last minute weekend trip to Barcelona. Fun, but definitely a want. A late night Uber Eats because you're too tired to cook. Definitely a want. That new gadget that you've been eyeing on, that iPhone 16, 17, 18, whatever year it is going on. There's nothing, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with having wants. We all have them, But the key is to be aware of the difference. When you clearly see where your money is going and you can differentiate what is a need and what is a want. And this will help you save money. You can make conscious choices about where to allocate your funds and prioritize your needs while still enjoying some of the wants within your budget. Lastly, you always want to have an emergency fund. This is non-negotiable. Always, always, always have an emergency fund. Seriously, this is where you have a financial safety net. As a digital nomad, you're exposed to certain risk. Visa runs can be expensive. Your laptop might decide to die on you while you're in the middle of nowhere. Jeez. And you might need to book a last-minute flight home for a family emergency. These things happen. And if you don't have an emergency fund, they can throw your entire budget, an entire trip, into chaos. The general rule of thumb is to aim for 3 to 6 months of living expenses in your emergency fund. It might seem daunting at first, but start small and contribute regularly. Think of it as an investment in your peace of mind. Knowing you have the financial cushion will allow you to travel with confidence. Knowing you're prepared for whatever life throws your way, it's not a luxury. It's a necessity. All right, so here are my absolute must-have tools for budgeting as a digital nomad. These are the apps and platforms that help keep me on track, no matter where I am in the world. The first one is Revolut or Wise. Personally, I use Wise, and they're both fantastic, and they're essential for handling multiple currencies without getting hammered by exchange fees. Seriously, these platforms have saved me a ton of money. They make it super easy to transfer funds, pay in local currencies, and avoid these ridiculous bank charges. I use them for everything from paying for my accommodation to transferring money between accounts and being able to see all my balances in different currencies in one place. It makes it a lifesaver. But anyway, I'll leave a link down in the comments section. I have a promo code that'll allow you to use Wise and hopefully help you save money down the line. The next one is Nomad Wallet. It is a real-time expense tracking tool. It is my go-to app for this. As soon as I spend anything, I log it into the app. It categorizes everything for me automatically so I can see exactly where my money is going, whether it's a coffee in Bali or a flight to Bangkok. It goes straight into Nomad Wallet. This helps me stay on top of my day of spending and avoid any surprises at the end of the month. Plus, it gives me a great overview of my spending habits so I can identify areas where I can cut back. And one of the most important ones for me is to use Google Sheets. It's a free software, so that's something that I can get a full breakdown of my expenses. I can export my data from Nomad Wallet and import it into a spreadsheet, and I can create customized reports, analyze my spending by category, and track my progress towards my budget goals. Might sound a little bit old school, but having a detailed spreadsheet gives me a deeper understanding of my finances. I can see trends, identify areas where I'm overspending, and make adjustments to my budget accordingly. It's a perfect combination of real-time tracking with Nomad Wallet and an in-depth analysis with Google Sheets. And with the way that AI is going, you can use Gemini or ChatGPT to study these trends that are going on within your budget and help you find answers for yourself. So honestly, when I was 18, I had no idea how much planning and budgeting mattered. There was times that I overspent, underestimated costs, or forgot to plan ahead. As a result, I briefly found myself without a home even. These tough experiences taught me the worst of living life as a nomad. But over time, I gained skills and learned how to make smarter choices. So I developed myself from a nomad into a digital nomad. And so anyway, there you have it, budgeting as a digital nomad. It doesn't have to feel like it's something that's impossible. It's just whether you're planning your move to Portugal or just figuring out how to make this lifestyle sustainable. It's all about creating a plan that fits for you. If this video gave you some clarity or some inspiration, let me know in the comments section. And if you're curious about how my Portugal budget plays out in life, don't forget to subscribe. I'll do another video for the previous month of like how much I've actually spent through my outline of my budget. And yeah, so I'll share all the details in the upcoming video. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Até amanhã, y'all.